Hello there, welcome to Blitz Transmissions. This is the Blitzcast number 87. I'm Tommy. Before we get into the content of this week's episode of the Blitzcast, as always, check out the laundry list of links that can be found in the description below. You can check out the YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet on YouTube. We've also got Instagram, we've got Discord, we've got Patreon. You can become an ARC Trooper on Patreon for just $4.99 a month. You get all the content early, you get exclusive posts, exclusive access to a specific Discord channel, lots of cool stuff there. Join the channel membership on YouTube, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. There's all kinds of stuff we got going on at Blitz Transmissions, and we've got a pretty cool topic for you this week. I actually changed this topic last minute for this week's episode of the Blitzcast. I sat down, I had a whole topic planned out, a whole, hour-ish long discussion. Let's be real, it's probably going to end up being closer to 40 minutes, like most of the episodes are, but I was ready to go. I was ready to roll, and then I kind of had this epiphany. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Something is about to occur. And it's kind of funny because this podcast is coming out exactly 365 days since the last time I covered this kind of topic. So pretty crazy. So before we get into the podcast, of course, we're going to read off just a couple verses from the Bible. These ones, sometimes they're random, sometimes they're a little more meaningful to me. I felt like these ones were a bit more meaningful to me. So this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verses 17 through 19 from the New International Version. It reads, "Do not let your heart envy sinners, but always be zealous for the fear of the Lord. There is surely a future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off. Listen, my son, and be wise, and set your heart on the right path." Some very touching verses there. I think it's very easy in life to be a follower. It's very easy in life to look at how seemingly easy those who are not, following in the footsteps of God are living their lives. So a lot of times those people get to relish in their impulses. A lot of times those people, they get to do things that we as Christians do our best not to do. And they're seemingly in this world, a lot of times there seems like there isn't consequences for the way that people act. And while we know that there is judgment at the very end of the journey, I do feel like, sometimes we can get caught up in the frustrations of, he can't keep getting away with it. But, it is something that I think we should keep at the forefront of your mind. Boom, let's talk some Star Wars. So we're kind of talking Star Wars. We're actually talking about Blitz Transmissions today. And the topic of this week's podcast is actually one that I've been really excited to talk about. It is Blitz Transmissions Year 2 in review. That's right. I believe it's on August 12th. It is going to mark the anniversary, the 2-year anniversary of Blitz Transmissions, which is kind of crazy to think that it's already been 2 whole years since I created the channel and 2 whole years of content. And boy, I'll tell you, a lot has changed in the last 12 months of Blitz Transmissions. If you would have told me when I sat down and made this channel 2 years ago, and kind of gave my original channel trailer, which I do desperately need to update, what it would become in just 2 years time, 24 months time, I probably would have told you were out of your mind and you were crazy, because it really is kind of wild how much and how dramatically the channel has changed. Before we get into the episode, I do also want to just give a quick shout out. I was on tour this week. I was on a press tour, I guess you would call it. A press tour of sorts. I was invited on to 3 different live streams on 3 different YouTube channels this week. And I also, of course, we had our latest episode of Toy Chest over on the Sarlacc Digest YouTube channel come out this past Monday. Please go check that out. We had a very controversial discussion about, could the Vintage Collection change their packaging? Should the Vintage Collection change their packaging? Hasbro's 375-inch super articulated action figure line. So interesting conversation there. Some good conceptual... My chair is like creaking. I'm going to have to check on that. That's really making me mad. Maybe I should just sit still. Maybe I should do a better job of sitting still and it won't be such an issue, right? But Also, I have been on 3 other live streams, so please go check out my friend Steve, Sith Lord 229. I was invited on the latest edition of Toy Talk with co-hosts Daniel East 1000 and Robo Quiff Collects, also friends of mine. That was a super fun stream to do. What was going to be probably a 2 or 3 hour stream ended up being an almost 5-hour stream, so check that out if you're looking for something to listen to in the background. Then that same day, this would have been this past Wednesday, I was on with my friend Toys Are the Way, invited me on for This Is Where the Stream Begins, and I was on with Evan, Mile High Ground from SWTVC, as well as Findor Moon and my Star Wars guys. So check that out. That was another one that probably was only supposed to be 2 hours, ended up being an over 5-hour stream, so that was nuts. And then just the other day, on Friday night, I was invited to be a guest on SWTVC's YouTube channel. So I joined Tyler, SW Collector 375, John, the Vintage Concepts, and Evan, Mile High Ground, and the other guest for that one was Toys Are the Way. So we spent, again, that one was probably supposed to be 2.5, 3 hours, and we spent a little over 3 hours talking some Star Wars. So that was a lot of fun, talking a lot of action figure stuff this week, particularly the Vintage Collection. It's been a lot of fun. And speaking of the Vintage Collection, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about on this week's episode of the Blitzcast. So I kind of want to look into, another year in review. This has been a wild year for Blitz Transmissions. There's been a ton that's happened. There's been some things I've been very happy about, some things I'm not so happy about, and then these are things that could definitely be improved upon going into the next 12 months. And for some reason, there is a fruit fly that has flying around my room now that I see. So hopefully, maybe that'll be your Easter egg. If you're watching this episode of the Blitzcast, you can maybe try and spot the fruit fly that's in the room somehow. This is a completely different floor of the house than the kitchen. I don't understand how a fruit fly got in here. Anyway, so first of all, I do want to give a huge, massive thank you. I want to, right at the top, thank you to you guys, the Blitz Brigade. The channel has changed and evolved and developed so much in the last 12 months. We'll get into all of that. But it really is the community that has continued to grow, flourish, and I love that Blitz Transmissions is able to bring in all different demographics of Star Wars fan. No matter if you collect one action figure line or multiple action figure lines, if you collect one era of Star Wars exclusively or multiple eras, if you are somebody who, even, I know I've been slacking on this, it's one of my critiques from this year, if you've been, into the more of the lore things, into more of the Blitzcast, and, a little less so the action figure stuff, I don't try. Do or do not. There is no try. I do my best to make a space for everybody here in the Blitz Brigade, and it's been really fun to see the channel continue to grow and evolve as the content, the things that I talk about, the subject matter of the channel has changed so much while being under the umbrella of Star Wars. So I do, again, want to thank all of you guys for supporting the channel. You guys have supported this in such crazy above and beyond ways, and I'm super, super thankful for all of you. Here's to the next 2 years, hopefully, of Blitz Transmissions. So, kind of want to talk about some things. I don't really have them organized in the way of, all the negatives and all the positives, pros versus cons type thing. It's more blended. I feel like one thing will kind of flow into the next. So, one thing that I have not been very happy about this past 12 months has been the lack of consistency in my uploads. The first year of Blitz Transmissions, there was a good portion there where I would go like a month at a time where I literally posted a video, whether it be a Blitzcast episode, a review, a vlog, a topical video, every single day. I would go like 30 to 45 days in a row posting videos. That said, though, while that is a critique I have, I do want to get much more back into more consistent uploads on Blitz Transmissions on the YouTube channel, and with the Blitzcast too. I've really fallen off with that, but I also want to acknowledge, though, that the quality and the time it takes to put these videos together has also increased. Whereas there's a lot of things that I'm developing on the channel right now. I am kind of doing I wouldn't really call it a soft rebrand. Maybe it is, because the logo's not changing. The I'm not changing. It's more so what's being covered and how it's being covered on the channel that I want to change. Because there are some things that I'm not really interested in anymore. There are some things I'm still trying to work out, but other things I'm very satisfied with. So very happy to unveil some of those new things in the near future. So I will say the uploads have gotten very sporadic over the last 12 months, and a lot of that had to do with big life things. I mean, for one, whoosh, I got married. I got a wedding ring on my finger now. So back in July, Jen and I got married, so she is now officially Mrs. Blitz. And we went out to our honeymoon. We went out to Italy. Went to Milan. That was amazing. We're already doing the whole thing that most married couples do. Where they say, "Oh, we'll go back soon. We'll go back soon." I guarantee soon will actually be 20 years from now after we start having children and they're all old enough to be home alone. But that is something that has definitely affected. There was a lot of prep. We had a huge wedding. We really did, because my family and Jen's family are both Italian. So that, I'm sure if you know, that's a huge deal. You want to have a big, Christian wedding. That's just what people do. So that led to a lot of planning, a lot of money, which equated to a lot of me working overtime and being exhausted and going to meetings, with the church and meetings with, planners and things like that. Jen did a fantastic job. Hats off to Jen for doing a lot of the legwork on the planning, especially while she was off from her job this summer. And I'm very appreciative of that. But at the same time, there were things that I had to, put time aside for. And unfortunately, something had to give. Something had to go on the back burner. And unfortunately, daily uploads on Blitz Transmissions had to be the thing that went on the back burner. Similarly, too, the Blitzcast, you definitely have noticed, has been very sporadic this year. I really haven't been nearly as consistent, specifically with the Blitzcast, as I have with other series and styles of content on my channel. That also plays into that. There's been a lot of time this year where I've been very exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally, where I'm just not in the mood to make a video. And when your channel becomes a chore or an obligation, as opposed to something that you enjoy doing, I've said this plenty of times on the Blitzcast, and I've been saying this recently about Star Wars collecting. If it feels like a chore or an obligation to do it, then you need to take a break and take a step back and kind of reevaluate, reassess. So I'll be totally honest, that's been part of it for me. I've been reassessing, did I even want to continue with the Blitzcast? Ultimately, obviously, you're sitting here listening to one now. I have decided, yes, I'm going to continue with the Blitzcast. But at the same time, I think that it was important that I took that time back a little bit, especially the last couple months when I had all these other life things going on, to really ask myself those questions and really wrestle with those answers, and seek, as Master Shifu says, inner peace, in inner peace. Shout out Kung Fu Panda. So that's been a part of it too, but also the content and the style of the channel have really spun on its head. And that is something that I'm actually very happy about. So one thing that's newer, and it's, we're going to try and work on the consistency of this new series, the After Action Figure Report. It has been a hugely successful channel. Thank you guys for enjoying it so much, because a lot of work and effort goes into it. The After Action Figure Report is a Good Morning America inspired, news show inspired Star Wars action figure weekly news beat, right? And so that's something that I decided, hey, I want to do this. This is something that I want to get into. I felt like it was the thing, when I think of Blitz Transmissions, what do I want it to be? And the things that came to mind were three major things: news, reviews, and vlogs. Those are the three major things that I want to cover here on Blitz Transmissions. And how can I cover news? I did it a lot this year in short form content that you can kind of just post whenever, and be right on top of it when an announcement drops or, news drops. But in this case, I kind of I felt like it was the thing my channel was missing. That consistent news show. You knew what day of the week it was coming out, generally a time. and you knew exactly what you were going to get. So I cover a lot of the lines that I collect on that. Black Series, the Vintage Collection, Hot Toys, Micro Galaxy Squadron. I'll cover things like Carbonites as well. And I also have to give a huge shout out to, because I will say the After Action figure report proved to be very, 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 very time consuming for me to edit. So I have to give a shout out to our newest sponsor, Infinity3DCollectibles.com. Shout out to Michael. He is also an editor for a living, so he has offered his services up in exchange for me to share his prints. I have an awesome video that I have in the works right now. I haven't obviously had time to really work on it, but I finally figured out how I want to format this video, and it will be coming out hopefully before the end of this week. I really hope I'm able to get it out, because it's something I'm very excited about. He does 3D prints, and he makes the things for Black Series scale, Hot Toy scale, Vintage Collection scale. So it's something I'm very excited to be partnering with. So I'm very much looking forward to getting that out into the ether, if you will. So shout out to Infinity 3D Collectibles. He is the one who has edited I think the last couple of the After Action figure report episodes. So shout out, Michael, you're awesome. As far as that, though, that's a good thing. I think that is something I'm very happy that I've added to the Blitz Transmissions itinerary, to the slate, things that I have under my belt. There's also, you would have noticed, a lack in reviews, much like the Blitzcast episodes. That's something I'm not very happy about. I kind of just reached a point where, again, doing reviews felt like a chore. I felt like I couldn't open an action figure and enjoy it. I had a wonderful conversation about this, by the way, with RoboQuiff Collects, Daniel East 1000, and Sith Lord 229 when I was a guest over on Sith Lord's channel earlier in the week. James, RoboQuiff Collects, brought it up, and he said it. I had never talked to him about it before the stream, and we kind of had this moment of like connection there, where James was talking about how, yeah, he goes out of his way to get a lot of the Black Series figures early, and a lot of people look to him as a voice of authority for reviews, and they look to him to somebody to maybe give them an idea of whether they actually want to pre-order this figure, or whether they're going to keep their order in for this figure. And James is a person who is very honest in his reviews, and that's something I really appreciate. However, he was saying it felt like more of a task or a chore to do the reviews, and it sucks, because me a year ago, I loved doing reviews on Blitz Transmissions, and lately I've been viewing them as a chore, as opposed to something that I'm excited to do. Part of that, I think, for me is a mindset change, because I think I've gotten into the habit of viewing it as a chore, and I need to start doing them again to remind myself, because it is something that I genuinely do enjoy doing on the channel, and I know that there are people in the Blitz Brigade that view me as a voice of authority as to whether or not they're going to pick up an action figure or wait for a sale, or maybe not get it at all. So I think that that's something I want to, lean back into, is the reviews, do them a little more consistently. It also helps now that I have, 2 weekly series on the channel, those being the After Action Figure Report and the Blitzcast, which both come out on the weekends. That opens up my schedule a little bit, meaning like reviews can be something that I can just kind of do whenever, and even if I can get them recorded but can't get them edited, I still have these other weekly series that will be coming out throughout the weekend, so that I'm not completely sacrificing semi-consistent uploads on Blitz Transmissions. One huge, massive thing has happened within the last 12 months, though, that I really want to unpack on Blitz Transmissions. It's easily been my most favorite thing, most favorite change, and biggest, I would say, plus on the year in review. It has been the jump from being a predominantly Black Series channel to a Vintage Collection and Black Series channel. Getting into the Vintage Collection has been probably, like, it's been like my, I almost want to say like a come to Jesus moment. It has been some of the most fun I've had on any YouTube channel ever, being in this community, collecting this scale. And it all started with this silly little thing you guys would know, the Republic gunship HasLab that Hasbro revealed about 12 months ago now at San Diego Comic-Con in 2025. They did a Republic gunship HasLab. The Republic gunship HasLab was easily, for me, the most excited and enthralled I've ever been by a Star Wars toy reveal in my adult collecting life. The Republic gunship means so much to me. You guys would know I've done extensive live streams, videos, comments, just conversation talking about it. If you're at all familiar with the channel, then you know. So I'm not going to repeat myself for the umpteenth time. But that thing really did open me up to not just being able to enjoy the vintage collection and being able to enjoy new definitive Star Wars fruit fly in my face Star Wars 375. It also opened up the door to new friendships, and that is probably, I will say, the biggest contribution that Blitz Transmissions has made to the Star Wars action figure space, and it's something I'm very proud of, is through the Republic Gunship HasLab campaign, I was able to meet new faces that I can now call personal friends, like the SWTVC crew, like Toys Are the Way, like Twin Sons Collecting on Instagram, and so many others. It has been such a breath of fresh air to get into a different action figure community, and getting that perspective has really changed how I view not just the vintage collection, but also how I view the Black Series. I've actually effectively changed how I view both action figure lines and the kind of critiques that I have about both lines. It's also helped me to appreciate what I have in my collection and what I want to collect, because the way that you can collect the vintage collection in the 375 scale is completely different than the way you can collect the Black Series. And as someone who was drinking the Kool-Aid, for lack of better phrasing, with, being a Black Series only collector, I consistently would dog on the vintage collection, and but a big part of that was that the line wasn't doing anything that really would pull me in as a prequel Clone Wars generation fan. And the Republic Gunship completely changed that. There have been so many releases that have come out throughout 2026. Excuse me. And I know the year's not even over yet, but there have been so many things that have come out that have really elevated my appreciation for the line and for the scale, and make me want to continue collecting it, to the point where, other Black Series collectors my age are doing the same thing. They're looking at the vintage collection in masse for the first time, completely unprecedented, going, wait a minute, that's super cool. That appeals to me. I want to buy that. And it's been so awesome through the Republic Gunship campaign, for the first time, really, seeing a widespread dropping of the pitchforks and torches between the tribalism that is the scale wars, and kind of squashing that bug for a lot of people, and getting people to have conversations with one another and look at each other from opposite sides of the fence and come to a common ground, a common understanding. We collect differently, we collect different scales, but at the end of the day, we actually like a lot of the same things, and we're not that different from one another. And it's been really great to see, now that we've squashed that bug, how the conversation will propel moving forward. So I'm very, very happy with, the coverage of the vintage collection line. That has been one of my highlights of the year. I plan to really keep just diving deeper into the community, diving deeper into the collecting, getting into the conversations more. I finally made a Facebook profile so I could join some of these Facebook groups that guys have been begging me to join for the last year now. I finally bit the bullet, as somebody who's been very staunchly of the opinion that I will never have a Facebook profile. You got me. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. I finally went and I got it. So I'm very happy about that. But I think that, not to harp on that too much, I've spent a lot of time this week talking about the vintage collection on other people's channels. I think that something I want to propel into the future, I've found a new calling in the vintage collection community. Something that I want to keep campaigning for and being a mouthpiece for going forward is this being the voice for my generation of collectors in the vintage collection line, whether you're a casual, diehard, or somewhere in between. There has been, if you watched the last Blitzcast episode, I had my dad, Commander Bly, on, and you always know when Bly's on the Blitzcast, it's going to get a little rowdy, it's going to be a good time, but we had a great time having a very interesting discussion. The landscape of the Star Wars collecting world is changing before our eyes very rapidly. And there is some opposition to that from gatekeepers who tend to be of the original trilogy generation. And I think that going forward, I want to make sure that I am a mouthpiece for my generation, because my generation of collectors coming in the way they are to the vintage collection is helping that line grow. And it's completely... there's no precedent for it. This has never happened. This is where we are sailing in completely uncharted waters right now. A phenomenon like this has never happened. It's happened the other way. People leave in droves to go to the Black Series because it has much wider, better breadth of character selection. But it really hasn't happened this way, where people are going and collecting Black Series and then looking at the vintage collection and saying, whoa, I actually like that. So it's happening more and more. Younger people are looking for a voice. They're looking for someone to connect with. People that are fans of the Clone Wars era and the prequel trilogy era, they are looking for someone to connect with. And I hope that I can continue to be a mouthpiece for those people going forward. So that's kind of to give you a glimpse into the future of Blitz Transmissions. That's something I want to keep up and be steadfast in for the next 2 years, hopefully. Moving away from that, though, because I feel like I've harped enough on. If you want to hear a lot of my thoughts on like gatekeeping and, you know, the way that you collect and things like that, you can check out the last episode of the Blitzcast. Something else that I'm really proud of with the channel that has changed in the last 12 months has been how much I have leaned into the my faith and expressing that on my channel. Historically, I have always been a separation of church and state, if you will, kind of guy, where I've always been Christian. I've been Catholic since I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I've always valued my faith very deeply. But for some reason, I had this weird disconnect where I wanted to... maybe it was because, I'll be totally honest, maybe it was because I wanted to appeal to more people. And I know that, you know, talking about your faith or even mentioning it can be a huge turnoff for some people. So I just didn't talk about it. I kept it separate. I kept it to myself. I mean, when I was on 1313 podcast, that was one of our big things. It was an ongoing joke we had. There are 3 things we don't talk about: religion, politics, and the Great Pumpkin. And that was something we would always say to like guests when we would have them on streams and stuff, or our Have a Chat series that we had over there. And I think over time, I think part of it is getting older. I think part of it is maturing more. I have come to realize that if I'm not being 100% authentically myself as much as I possibly can, then is it even worth building a community and being a voice in the community in any hobby, in any niche? And I think that it's important that I be myself. I think it's important that I express myself and be honest. And that is a part of my identity, is my religion. That is all of my morals and ethics come from that Bible and come from my faith and through life lessons that I've learned and hard times I've had where I've leaned into my faith. And because of that, there have been so many episodes of the Blitzcast over the last 12 months that have included that. Now, I will say there were outside factors that affected me getting into my faith, and those are things I don't want to talk about because I don't think that it's some of them are like real world events and it's just a touchy subject. But I have been very happy and proud of my voicing my faith here on the channel, and I was honestly very surprised, taken aback by how many people that watched the channel and are in the Blitz Brigade that appreciated it too, even those that are not Christians themselves or are not interested in the faith. I'm really glad that I've been able to provide it to you in a palatable way, in a mature and adult way. That's something that means a lot to me, and I'm very happy and proud that I'm able to spread the word of God while also still having a Star Wars centric channel. That means a lot to me, and that's something that I hope to continue more in the Blitzcast for the next 12 months as I do my best to be more consistent with my uploads with the Blitzcast specifically. I hope that I'm able to make an environment here that I can still talk about my faith and it still be palatable to people. Yeah. But that's my little aside on that. The other thing I want to talk about, my big thing for the year in review, year 2 in review, is I wanted to really point out another awesome thing that's happened in the last 12 months. Fan polls. Now, you guys would have known last year I had one fan poll, and that was for the Black Series, and it is the March Madness Order 66 edition for Black Series. It is a fan, all everybody puts in their submissions. I put a bracket together that is 100% based on popular vote. Those characters go head-to-head in a seeding that is, again, based on popular vote. Everyone gets to vote on the matchups. We get a winner. Last year, the winner was the Galactic Marine. This year, the winner was the Kashyyyk Trooper, which is funny because the Galactic Marine and the Kashyyyk Trooper actually flip-flopped. Last year, Seed 1 was the Galactic Marine and took home the whole thing. And then number 2 seed was the Kashyyyk Trooper, and they went head-to-head for the final. Literally was the exact opposite. The seeding of the characters, the fact that the only thing that remained the same was that they fought each other in the final round. So that was really cool. It was really fun to do that. We had a much larger turnout this year for March Madness Order 66 edition than last year. Shout out all my cloners. And we've gotten several new clone troopers made in the Black Series that I like to believe were in part because of March Madness Order 66 edition. So I have several, I think I have all of them actually on my desk here. So the most recent one that I have in hand being the 2-pack that came out for Clone Trooper Dogma and Clone Trooper Hardcase in his Phase 2 armor. These guys are awesome. I love this set here, and this is, I hope Hasbro really leans into this with Black Series and the Vintage Collection. And then another one here, we've got the 2 more. These are the first 2 that came out from the fan poll. We got Clone Commander Doom and Clone Commander Thorn. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I can't believe these got made. I definitely clipped it. There's a reel on my social media of when those got revealed. I think I literally, I was losing my mind, I was screaming and shouting, I was hooting and hollering, and I just like, have I died and gone to heaven? Is this the afterlife? So, and then there's even more. There's the ARC Trooper Battle Pack with ARC Commander Blitz, ARC Commander Colt, and ARC Commander Havoc. Those are 3 other clone troopers that showed up on last year's March Madness Order 66 edition. And we've already ticked off a new trooper that showed up on the bracket for the first time this year with the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 501st Legion ARF Trooper. So that's awesome. That's 8 clone troopers in just a few months' time that have been revealed and or are in hand for collectors. I saw Great White North Empire just got the ARC Trooper Battle Pack in hand today. So shout out to Great White North Empire on Instagram. The that fan poll, seeing the fruits of your labor in a way in that fan poll, because I also have to shout out Brandon from the Hasbro marketing team for Star Wars. He had reached out to me in 2025, and he reached out to me again this year asking for my data from March Madness Order 66 edition. So I got to provide that data to him, and I hope that it continues to help them when they make their decisions on what clone troopers they want to make next. So, because I remember he told me we were going to play Clone Bingo. We were emailing back and forth when I sent him the data last year, and he said, we'll be playing Clone Bingo in 2026. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And now I'm seeing we have 8. That's what is that? That's an 1/8 of the bracket. That's an entire, the way I set up my bracket, that's an entire wing of the bracket that has been completely checked off from 2025's bracket. That's awesome. And then, one that just showed up this year. So that's even cooler too. So I'm very, very excited. It's going to open up a ton of slots. That's what I'm even more excited about, because for me, my new hashtag the last week has been yes and. Hashtag yes and. It's a lot of times questions are, well, do you want this or do you want this? Well, I want both. I don't care which you give me first, as long as I know I'm getting both at some point. So yes and. Hashtag yes and. And that's kind of how I feel with this bracket. It's like, wow, now going into 2026 or 2027's March Madness Order 66 edition, now we're going to have the opportunity for 8 new spots will be opened up on the bracket, even if all the other characters remain the same. The other, I'm so bad, 56. I was like, am I really that bad at math? Even if the other 56 characters remain exactly the same. That's super cool that we get to have that. What the? Is there chocolate on my leg? How'd that even happen? Oh no, it's dirt. Fun fact, my dog Cody, shout out to my sweet Cody, loves to kick dirt on me when he's claiming his dominance on our walks, and he's scratching up the dirt. He loves to get dirt on me, and I must have missed that on my leg. I'm just glad it's not dog poop, because there have been times where he's like, kicking up the grass and a turd comes flying at you. Anyway, so back to the fan polls. It's just super cool to think that next year there are going to be 8 spots open that were previously on other, years of the March Madness Order 66 edition that now can be filled by other clones. Very, very excited for that. Huge progress on that. Again, shout out to Brandon from the Hasbro Star Wars marketing team for thinking, again, Blitz Transmissions. I'm not the loudest voice in the community, but that was the first Black Series fan poll. Other than there's also a March Madness for Black Series, but that's the first focused fan poll that's ever come out, and we'll talk about another focused fan poll later. But there's another Star Wars Black Series fan poll that is again made 100% by popular vote, made by the community. And that is something that I created back in October, November, called Black Series Most Wanted. I'm going to have to change the logo this year because we have a new Black Series logo going into 2027. So I'm very excited actually to change the logo. But we have a new logo for the line, which is cool. But what I'm actually saying is we have a new fan poll, and that is Black Series Most Wanted. Now, Black Series Most Wanted, the concept of it was to be, first of all, it's its own identity online. It's not, unlike my other 2 fan polls, which are like, Blitz Transmissions Presents, I would say. This is one that's, it's a collaborative effort. I wanted it to have its own identity online so that whether or not, because I'm not stupid, I know that people out there don't like me, regardless of how you feel about me, I wanted it to be its own identity. I wanted it to be its own entity. And through that, I really wanted this to be something that everyone could be a part of. Again, no matter what kind of a Star Wars fan you are, what generation you like, what characters you prefer, I wanted everyone to contribute as much as possible. And I reached out to all different corners of the Black Series community to help me, to assist me with that, and it was very, very successful. I mean, some names. I do have to give a thank you to everyone that was on the team for Black Series Most Wanted last year. You guys were all great in promoting it, in getting the word out there. Everyone that was on the team last year. So shout out to all my teammates from Black Series Most Wanted last year. But also I want to give special shouts out to people like Star Action Figures. Shout out to Wayne, who actually was able to share it through the Star Action Figures social media on Facebook. That was huge. We gained a ton of submissions just from that one Facebook post. So Wayne, if you're watching, thank you. I really do appreciate you. I reached out kind of out on a limb, and Wayne, being the fan that he is, delivered. So that was awesome. But just lots of huge channels like Sir Dork coming out and promoting it. I know Robo Don't Know promoted it for a bit there. That was awesome. It was just great to see the support and see everyone in the Black Series community so excited for something and rallying around something. So as opposed to tournament style fan polls and fan votes, this one was just meant to be, everyone does wish list videos, right? Everyone has their wish lists. What if the entire Black Series community came together and everyone put their wish lists in the pot, and we were able to make a definitive community wish list, a top 12 wish list of the most wanted most wanted Star Wars characters to be made into Black Series action figures. And we did that. And we had over 500 submissions, and in spite of all of the people that tried to blackball it, all the people that tried to pretend it didn't exist, and all of the active campaigning against it through the disguise of saying, oh well, this person, Tommy's a bad person, I'm not going to support it. It was awesome to see it succeed, and flourish, and it had over 500 submissions, and that's a huge sample size and not something to be scoffed at. I'm very, very proud of that project, and we came out with the definitive most wanted list from the community, and 2 of those characters have already been created now. A week after we posted the list, Watto got revealed, and now he's in hand. And we also got Queen Amidala at San Diego Comic-Con this year that was revealed in the new Black Series packaging with the new logo. So that's 2 out of 12. I would say that's amazing to get before, because neither of those were made in a realistic span of time. That Hasbro couldn't. They didn't make Watto in a week. They didn't come up with Queen Amidala because of Black Series Most Wanted. But it's cool to see that Hasbro was kind of on the same page as the fandom with that one. Then, talking about getting into vintage collection, I also have my third fan poll. Shout out to MuffinMan27, James on Instagram. We kind of partnered up and did Galactic Conquest. Was a really fun poll. So again, a focused fan poll. This one, when we were designing it, was really meant to be a complement to SWTVC's March Madness, the biggest Star Wars action figure fan poll. The original Star Wars action figure fan poll of the new age, if you will. And that one was really fun because a big stipulation with SWTVC's March Madness is that the characters that you pick are meant to be picked with the idea that most of the character will be new tooling, new parts that Hasbro would have to make and budget out to create that character, as opposed to repaints and, majority redos of characters. What they've done, so what we did here was, okay, well, let's lean into, giving those characters that get left out on March Madness a spotlight. So this was a military-themed fan poll, with a same bracket style, tournament style fan poll for militaries and commanders of the major Star Wars military factions. So army builders, commanders, both were fighting and pitting themselves against each other. And it was a really fun poll. We did it quick. We did it fast. We got it in and out in the summertime before San Diego Comic-Con hit. So, that was great that we were able to push it out that way. It was a lot of fun. It really was. I had a blast with that, and it's awesome to be contributing to the vintage collection community in a way like that with a community building fan poll. And again, I thought what I can say across all the fan polls, not the Clone Trooper one, the other 2 fan polls, is that it has been such a great blend of the different eras of Star Wars. And that's something I've really, really appreciated, is how it's been this blend of, it goes to show that the Blitz Brigade and the people that these fan polls attract are not all predominantly one generation or one part of the fandom. We reached out to all different corners of the fandom, and I'm very, very proud of how well it's done. It means a lot to me. And I can't thank you guys enough, because ultimately it's the community that gets these things as popular as they are. It's only going to be so popular when I'm just, shouting out into the ether about it. But when you guys support it, you guys get excited about it, it fuels me to keep going. So I will say my year in review for Blitz Transmissions, should I give it a letter grade? Let me know what letter grade you give it. I'm sure some of you want to give it an F. I would give myself a B or B- for this year. Maybe B+ if I'm feeling very generous. But I think I did pretty good with, especially with how much the channel has changed, retaining an audience. That's a big thing. It's difficult when you do a soft rebrand of a channel that's in a niche to, changing what you cover in the niche a little bit. That can be difficult. But, you guys all stuck around, so I did retain my audience, so that was good. The channel continues to grow. That's awesome. And that's something I'm very proud of. We're almost about to hit 4,000 subscribers on the channel, so we've almost doubled in size since the last time we covered this topic. I think we had just hit 2,000 subscribers about a year ago when I last covered this topic. So very, very happy with that. And I think my only thing here is my big note for myself: work on consistency more. I think I need to get back into a consistent rhythm of content that I'm putting out. Again, keeping it quality, keeping in the idea that I should be improving the content as time goes on, while also maintaining a consistency in content as well. I want to do more discussion topics. I want to do more, long-winded yapping things here on the channel. So beyond that, I would say, I think a B is fair. I think a solid B is fair for Blitz Transmissions this year. Get back into the consistency, especially once the colder months hit. There's a lot less opportunity for overtime in my job field, so there's not as much going on out there in the world. So I think that'll also give me more free time and more energy to want to get into these things, making videos and such. But that's the beauty of it. It ebbs and it flows. It comes and it goes. And I'm glad that I was able to check myself a little bit and not try and fight through burnout, because it's like in something where it's supposed to be a fun hobby. That's not how it should be. But let me know what you've thought of the last year of Blitz Transmissions. I'm surprised I went for 45 minutes here. I thought I would be talking a lot shorter than I ended up, but that's me, isn't it? Long-winded, Tommy? No, couldn't be. But I really appreciate all you guys for, supporting the channel. I appreciate everybody that's new, that's come in, and I'm really excited to continue to build this channel and build what we talk about, what we cover. Hashtag yes and hashtag finish the 99. Let's get the rest of the Bad Batch and TVC, and let's get some more Clone Troopers out there, more prequel love, more Clone Wars love. 2028 is going to be my ride or die. If 2028 for me needs to be the year of the Clone Wars, and I hope that it is. So with that said, guys, I don't really have much else to say. Check out all the live streams I mentioned at the top of the show. Check out all of the content that I have on the channel right now. I'm going to, like I said, easing back into consistent uploads again, and I'm feeling motivated now. A lot of the conversations I had this week left me feeling very motivated. But yeah, so that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to quit yapping. Check out all the links in the description below. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 1-2, pick your target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. You've got to hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them.